Hello and welcome to this video where it is already 10 past or quarter past 3 or something like that. So I have a limited amount of time left that is daylight to do some work. I've already completed 2 videos that had started yesterday, and do I carry on and do another one? It is the 9th of January and we now have another 21 minutes of daylight from the solstice, that is. And that feels rather good. That feels rather nice. It feels rather positive. Yeah. Just like the business end of a battery. Here I have a choice. Nothing that's up for sale. Stuff to do. Put up for sale. Nothing today. This car only ever needs a wash. This one needs the rear brakes doing, but I'm a bit afraid of it going dark and suddenly being stuck with a car I can't move. I could wash that, couldn't I? Janet Jackson. That needs a good wash, but what's the point when it's got no MLT on it yet anyway? And because there simply isn't enough time to really crack on and do anything that difficult, maybe I should do something that isn't difficult. For Nigel, it's been a winter of neglect. Let's do something about that now. After a quick and not particularly careful vacuum out, I come around the corner and I find a cat with its head in the door. I don't think the cat's actually been inside because you can't see any muddy prints. Dirty. Clean. Probably anyway. I might give him another wash. So, what can you expect from Project Nigel episode 61? What happened there? One of the problems with having such a rather marvellously colourful car is that it makes a huge difference on its visual appeal, whether it's clean or dirty. When it's dirty, it just looks like an old car. But when it's clean, it looks like something rather magnificent. Cleaning, washing your car, of course, does cause micro scratches. You have to be very careful how you do it. But even being really careful, every single contact you make potentially can create a scratch. So today, I thought I would have a go of doing a little bit of contactless washing. Now, because this is a car that I generally keep clean, keep waxed, and etc., there's a good chance that it might be okay. So simply load it up with snow foam, leave it for a while, and then just spray it off and see what happens. Song. It's the car, snow foam the car. Okay, we've done that. Let's have a look, shall we? Well, it wasn't dirty to start with particularly. The only thing I did make contact with was the front wheels, because they do collect a bit of dirt on there. But the paintwork, I didn't. I just sprayed it and it's come up rather well. I can't actually see any dirt on there anywhere. And I haven't dried it either, which obviously there's another point of contact that if you can avoid doing whilst it's wet, you may as well do. There's no point in drying it, only to drive it in the wet. It's pretty good actually. In fact, I think I might do this more often. Next time I wash it, I'll give it a proper thorough wash and a proper dry, and then load it up again with wax, because I haven't done it for a few months. It still seems to be doing its job, but I want it to be doing its job as best as possible. Another cup of tea I've left to go cold. Right, driver's mat could do with being a bit drier before I bung it back in the car, so hairdryer. The continuing episode of Project Nigel. The car. In this very same episode that you happen to be watching now, only a couple of minutes ago, I washed this car and now it's dirty again. And that's possible due to the way that videos work. I haven't done it 2 minutes ago, I did it a few days ago. Winter means dirty roads. There's nothing I can do about that, so it's going to get dirty. But the worst thing about winter, or indeed any other time of the year in Britain, is wet. And that means wet cars. Wet on the outside, sometimes wet on the inside. If you own a Rover, you know what it's like to have a soggy carpet. And I know what it's like to have a soggy boot. The rest of the car though is fine. No problems with that at all. It's not damp in here. It's not damp down there, it's not damp down there, it's not down there, all there. The inside is fine. Only with a really heavy downfall, sometimes there's a slight leak in the seal there, which will drip down here and down there and into the gap that is still too big. So today's task, and to conclude video 61 of Nigel, is going to be to change those boot seals, because for ages now I've just not bothered with a boot carpet because it just gets wet in there, so I can't leave anything in there. It looks unsightly. When I go to car shows, I leave the boot closed because I don't want anybody looking at it, etc. And also, it really is time I put on my new steering wheel, the one that looks like that but nicer. Maybe this would be a good opportunity as well to tell you about the next plan for Nigel. For as long as I started this project, people have been going on to me, when are you going to change the boot? And I have a boot, I just haven't really had the inclination. And I also didn't really know whether it would be a good idea. But I've made my mind up. I'm going to change the boot for a Tahiti blue boot that I have around the back. Not only that, the headlining is going to get replaced as well, quite soon. One moment I'm going to show you the kind of crap I keep in my boot, but before that, changing the tailgate. It's not a particularly easy job to do, and that's for a variety of reasons. One of them that many people will know, and that is the wiring loop. Very fiddly, and it doesn't, if it had a plug there it'd be great, but it doesn't. It joins down here and goes down there somewhere where it all does its thing. But actually what you've got to do is pull this out and undo everything within the boot and then feed it all back through again once you replaced it, which is quite a lot of fiddling around. And for this instance, of course, removal of the headlining to get to the bolts on the underside of the roof. Not too difficult again, but with everything else that needs to come out, that needs to be the last thing that you undo, except for the latch. If the latch is the last thing, then those can be undone, and then you simply pop the boot and lift it straight off. Easy, easy, as I said. And I'm going to say it again, easy, except for the bits that don't make it very easy at all. But let's start with the bits that do make it easy, or at least don't really cause too much of an inconvenience. All of the trim has to come off so things can be accessed. For example, the boot spoiler is bolted on from the inside, so that has to come off. These obviously have to come off, and then on here this has to come off as well, where you can access the gubbins that are wanted to be transferred from this tailgate to the next one. And it's not just one or two gubbins, it's all of the gubbins, because the tailgate that I have around the back doesn't have a wiper motor or a wiper. It also doesn't have a button there, so all of the bits inside there, including the latch and probably those as well, need to be taken off of this tailgate and put on the other one. The bit that I'm going to struggle with possibly the most though is the plinth, because this is held on the outside with 4 security Torx bits, as you can see there, and as always, look at the colour of them. That could be awkward, so it's just a matter of keep on squirting on the penetrating fluid, trying it with the security Torx bit, and not going too aggressively with it. I guess the reason it has security Torx bits is that if you could just undo those from the outside, then you'd have access to all the levers and rods and things, and you could just basically get the boot open and access a car that doesn't belong to you and potentially drive it away. Instead, they've done this where you can't do that unless you've got the security Torx bits, which to be honest everybody has anyway. At least anyone that would want to get into a car like this would do. A security measure invented to start with, which could easily be gotten around, only serves its purpose as a really big inconvenience to the owner of the actual car. I'm getting a bit distracted here because it isn't my plan to take this off today anyway. I just thought I'd see which security Torx bit was the one that fits, and I can't find any of them that fit. None of them do. So I had a quick look on the internet, and what did I come across? Rover Joe explaining how to do it, except he didn't say what size it is. And normally you wouldn't have to say what size it is, you just You just poke the ones in there until you get the one that fits, but as none of them fit, right, that's what the drill's for, and that's what another day's for as well. Today, let's get back to the today job instead. In the boot of Nigel, because I am a organised, disorganised kind of practical man that gets things wrong, you'll find a cardboard box, which of course is very useful for when you go shopping. But that can go over there. What you don't really need is another 2 cardboard boxes. So then we find a balloting bag, which has got a bit grotty because of the dirt. An empty coffee pot for some reason. That's the stuff I need for the light seal, so she'll place that there. And then also we have my pump, which is necessary, antifreeze, which is, well, was necessary, and another one, and now I don't think they are necessary. They might as well go out of the boots. Oh, and some brake cleaner that came from Lidl. Also, because this boot hasn't been emptied in a while, shoes from the wedding I attended of my niece, that, and a coat hanger, sun cream, don't know why, and an awful lot of damp, which you can see quite clearly is coming from there, isn't it? So, and that side's not as bad, but it's definitely coming from down that corner. Also some umbrellas and some Bombay biryani mix. I thought I'd choose a nice dry day to do this, but it started to rain. But I'm going to carry on anyway, because I'm committed to it. And by now would have actually done the other job that I could have done if it wasn't a Sunday, which is getting the car advertised for sale. That's the first one taken off, and what you can see from the first one is there's water inside there, which it shouldn't have water inside there. It's not supposed to do. There are a couple of other points as well around the back where it could potentially leak. However, looking at the state of this seal, I'd be very surprised if this isn't the cause. You can see it's nice and thick, and then it goes really, really thin where it's been compressed and taken out and reused, and basically bollocks. Not exactly a difficult job, this one. There's our old seal. Basically just got to make a template with it by drawing around the edge of it and then cutting it out. Then it's as simple as just replacing the seal, putting it all back together, and there we go. As some people say, job's a good one, but I won't say that because I find that quite annoying. Looks kind of rudimentary actually compared to the original, but it's going to do the job better, so I don't care. So easy job, eh? And that's why I haven't got the lights back in yet, because look what's happened there. That's come off. That means I cannot tighten up the lamp within the body, so I've got to take it off and somehow glue it back in. It is typical. Things just never go to plan here. They just don't. There's no such thing as things going to plan at P&HQ. Look what's happened. That one is okay, that one's popped out, so's the other one, which means this lamp cannot be secured to the back of the car. Not without fixing it at least. And that means I've got to go on the hunt for a couple more. I'm gonna have to go back to the original ones. There was a point where I had loads and loads of Rover 25 rear lamps stored, and now I've got a feeling I haven't got any. Well, on such an easy job, time is running out already, and now I've got to transfer all that into that. Oh, that's different. Oh, you're joking. Why is it different? Oh, cock. Is it all completely different? Yep, it's all completely different. Well, thank you very much for that. Oh, bollocks. All sorted. But my whole Sunday used up making the car look less glamorous than it used to do. That's not really the way it goes. And that panel gap there is just bugging me too much. However, if that boot is now going to be dry, then it hasn't at least been a complete waste of time. It's just been less productive than I originally wanted. Well, I'm going to admit to you right now that this has been a real disappointment. Those original lamps, I mean, they look okay, but they just don't look as good as the old ones. I much prefer the blingy ones. I'm going to say that Nigel looks the least glamorous it has done for quite a while. When I put those trophy lights in as to see what they're like, you know, I wasn't sure. Looking at them on the back of other cars, I thought, yeah, they look a bit tacky, really. And then when I had another set on, well, actually I've had two. I had some that were silver, which I don't really think I would get along with, and then the black ones off a red ZR that I got a couple of years back, maybe a bit more, come to think of it. Also the car where the red door came from. Anyway, yeah, I thought I probably won't like them, but I'm going to put them on anyway. Watch what you're doing. You know, of the 3 hours I've been at work today, it's surprising how easy time goes by when you're trying to just mend bits of things with glue and then giving it a chance only to find out it doesn't really work. So now at the end of this video, Nigel is dirtier and looks worse than it did do before, and nothing has got better. I do wish this video had a more positive conclusion, but it is Sunday, shops close early on a Sunday, it's the weekend, I can't just hang about at the yard all day. So I am going to conclude this video here rather than just continuing it in a few days. So thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing, thank you for being a channel member, thank you for liking, all the other things I normally thank you for. I'm just going to wrap it up and say thanks. What about Allegro Man the musical?